This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 172, and this week I am very pleased to be joined by a returning guest, as heard on several Wrestling with Words spin-off podcasts, and a close personal friend of Andrew T. Rich. Hello, Skylar.
Hello, friends and listeners. Thank you for doing my intro. I really should have included more. If I knew that you were going to be game, I would have included a few more.
Well, I thought it'd be funny if I didn't tell you I was going to do it and I just did it. So.
Yeah, official wanter of Trump death. I think we could all agree on. I think that could be an omakase, like all, the Omakase Corporation. So all guests, past and present and future, we can all agree. We're gonna officially endorse that now.
Yes, I can think of one who might have a problem, maybe.
Is Jeff Hawkins on this?
That's exactly what I was thinking of. But yes, like. As far as, I don't know, you just brought up the Trump thing. That was like the craziest night on Twitter. When we found out.
It was really gold. It was, this was like the non-wrestling version of like the Fujita match, like the Fujita Go match, where it just felt for an hour like Twitter was standing still, like I was in the Matrix.
It was pretty amazing. I mean, I don't know. Just like the absurdity of it, of like he would downplay this thing, like on stage of that debate, and like literally make fun of his opponent for wearing a mask all the time, and then get it like 2 days later. It was one of those, I am agnostic. Maybe there is a God. I don't know. It just felt way too like, huh.
Yeah, this is like one of the WWE storylines where like, there's like a mud pit and one guy's teased getting thrown in the mud pit, but then he accidentally gets thrown in the mud pit. It's literally just this. It's like an Attitude Era storyline.
It's something. I mean, and then like the Weekend at Bernie's vibe with these doctors being like, we're giving him an experimental phase 3 drug that may or may not work with a compassionate use exception, but he's doing great. And here he is, like, signing some blank pages. It's like, how fucking stupid do you think people are, man? I mean, I get that we elected him, so we're pretty fucking stupid. But like, even his own supporters don't seem to be buying this shit. So I don't know.
They're like, we're giving Trump the limitless pill and hoping that his expanding brain power will help him like out of this disease.
It's like, okay. But yeah, so if he's gonna die or not, this is not where I expected the start of this podcast to go. But I don't disapprove.
Yeah, I feel like it's important to just get it out there that we officially endorse the death of the President of the United States.
I hope the CIA does not listen.
Yeah, and these views are indeed shared by the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
I want to say for the CIA
parody.
Here's this.
Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto.
This is satire.
Parody.
Satire. Yes. So I wonder if will this finally get me like people complaining on Twitter. I never get the complaints on Twitter that like the Super J-Cast gets when Joel just like opens his mouth. I guess like Joel will say the most mild anti-Trump thing of all time, and there will be some dude with like a Blue Lives Matter avatar or thin blue line avatar who's like, I am never again listening to the Super J-Cast. You have not gotten my $0 for the last time, sir.
I think in terms of reactionary fan base, I mean, I would be surprised if any of the Japanese wrestling podcasts outside of the Joshi one probably. I mean, that one has a history of some weirdos, but besides that, I think we're all cool guys here.
Yeah,
cool friends.
I'm sure. I hope someone's going to add us about this one. I think, but we'll see. And for that person who's listening right now, I'm very angry. I don't care. You don't have to at me. It's fine.
Yeah.
As far as what else has been going on, Skylar, other than thinking about the possible death of the U.S. president?
Well, things are lovely here in Washington D.C. I've recently become an exercise person, which trying to be like a body guy, trying to be like all of these wrestlers. I'm going to be in shape for the first time in my entire life. And watching professional wrestling and seeing like all these like 55-year-old guys with like abs, I'm just like, I could do this. I mean, I'm still an adult. I can definitely have like the Tanahashi body. So that's what I'm aiming for right now.
Tanahashi body. I mean, how the hell Minoru Suzuki still looks like even as good as he looks at 52?
Oh, yeah, he's very handsome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, remember how Ric Flair used to look in his 50s on WC?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's like he with all that loose skin where they finally told him to start wearing T-shirts. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, Ric Flair sort of always has looked old.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, I don't know. Suzuki's pulled it off. Niigata is another one. It's like, I don't know what. Although Niigata always has those gross cups on his, like, from cupping all over his body.
Yeah.
But
yeah, him and Ospreay, I feel like, I wonder if they do it together.
Have you ever looked that up? By the way, it's total bullshit.
Oh, of course. I mean,
it's like
every time I see it, I'm just like, come on, guys.
I've looked it up and like, is cupping, like, Google, like, is cupping real? The answer is like, no. It's not even like a maybe. It's like unequivocally, it's like, this does nothing.
Yeah,
So,
I also don't like that cupping sounds like, if to an uninformed person, like some sort of sex act.
It definitely does.
Yes.
It definitely does.
Sounds like something the kids are doing nowadays.
the kids are cupping. Yeah. But other than that, I guess you've been doing good.
Yeah, everything's been great. Although I had not been watching much wrestling during quarantine. So then when you told me, it's like, oh, well, we're going to watch like the last show of the G1 and the newest of the G1 and the N-1. I was like, well, I have to watch these now. So I've watched like 4 wrestling shows a day this week.
I think my exact question to you was, have you been keeping up with the G1 and the M1? And you were just like, yes. And then
I've been following on Twitter and laughing at the results that I don't like is what I meant.
Okay,
so.
But you did catch up. That's good.
Yes, we're all caught up.
That's good. But yeah, the G1. I say the G1 and the M1. I mean, they've both been good. The one that's been bad, we're not talking about today. So
yeah, we don't even have to mention it because I wanted Shuji Ishikawa, one of my favorite wrestlers of the last decade. I'm not going to disrespect his booking right now. I will say that booking is not the only problem, but it is part of the problem over there.
Yeah, I mean, we really ripped into it on last week's show. And that's a good transition for the Patreon plug, because if you want to hear me talk about the Champion Carnival final tomorrow or today or in the past, depending on when you're listening to this, but the Champion Carnival final is Monday, October 5th. I'll be covering that on the Omakase Patreon. Bringing in Paul Vosch of Voice of Wrestling, who does all the All Japan coverage, does a really good job along with Gerard and Thomas and some other people. But yeah, Paul is coming on. Gerard was on for the first night, and Paul is going to be on for the finals. So that's basically the main 2 Voice of Wrestling All Japan people. So so Paul will be on me tomorrow to do that, and also the G1 night 9, I believe. If we go up to night 9. So yeah, so that'll be on the Patreon. We'll have the G1 shows from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well, because this is a really packed G1 week. So, all that stuff, plus all the past content on the Patreon with all the G1 shows, Champion Carnival shows, and M1 shows we didn't cover on the free feed. You can find all of that at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. $5 per month. Great time to sign up here at the start of the month. You get, an entire month worth of stuff here for only $5, and you'll hear all of our coverage all the way to the end of the G1. So it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Feels like a low energy plug here, but I don't.
Wow, what value?
Yeah, it's a great. It is. I don't know. I've reached a number where I'm happy with it. Like,
is that number higher than the Everything Elite Patreon? That was your
I don't
goal?
no, I think it is still below Everything Elite. But like I had like a financial number in mind mostly, and I'm basically there. So like, I don't know. Like
for the listeners, John did tell me he's making $60,000 a month.
Yes, that's how much I'm making for sure. But no, I mean, like there were weeks in the past where I probably sounded like I was begging people to sign up, and now it's like, well, you can sign up if you want. I'll take more money, but I've reached a point now where, like, if everybody sticks around, I'm pretty happy. So
yeah, you're part of the 1% now.
Thank you.
You're part of the elite.
Exactly. No, God, not that. Anything but anything but that. That actually brings up another thing I want to mention. So it just made me think of Harold Meij getting fired, as it sounds like. I mean, it could be resigned. It probably was fired. Read into what you will, but. They apparently mentioned on the Super J-Cast, I haven't listened to the newest episode yet, but they mentioned my run-in with Harold Meij at Dominion 2019. Do you remember the story, Skylar? Did I ever tell you this one?
Yeah, weren't you throwing shit at him or something?
Yeah, so I promised Manabu, one of the Super J-Cast super fans, who also listens to Omakase a lot, that I would tell the story on Omakase this week. So basically, I'm at Dominion 2019. There, at Osaka-jo Hall. There is no intermission because, New Japan had gotten rid of their intermissions prior to COVID when they brought them back to, do that fucking clean theater bullshit they do. Because it's like, it doesn't even spread by surfaces. Why are people still doing this shit? Anyway, that cleaning theater intermission. But in 2019, there was no intermission. But yeah, so I had to pee really bad. But I also wanted to get back to my seat very quickly because, want to watch the show. So I am very quickly walking towards this exit, holding a Coke bottle. I see out of the corner of my eye a garbage can. I think I could kind of make out that there's a person there, but I seriously did not see who they were or even that there was a person there for sure. And I just fucking fling the Coke bottle at this garbage can. And, my friend Quinlan, friend of the show, has been on before, is standing right behind me. And, he's walking with me to the bathroom, I guess. And he sees me throw this Coke bottle. And I want to stress, I got it in the garbage can. I did not actually hit the man standing there. But Quinlan's like, do you know who you just almost threw a Coke bottle at? And I'm just like, who? I don't know. And he's like, that was fucking Harold Meij. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like he jumped backwards. Like so he just sees, so from Harold's perspective, he sees this fucking big fat American walking towards this garbage can, just fucking fling this Coke bottle like I'm about to toss it right in his fucking face, and like apparently did like an actual jump. I'm relying on Quinlan's account because I never saw him until like I was halfway up the staircase or whatever, and finally turned back and confirmed it was him. But yeah,
to be fair, when you said you saw a big fat American, he probably thought you were Chris Jericho, right? I know he's Canadian, but I mean, he's definitely had a very similar build at that time of his career.
There you go. But yeah, I don't know. It was very funny. Just a very funny little story that I almost threw. Because all these people were posting this shit on Twitter when Harold, stepped down or whatever. Like, oh, I met him outside this show. It was so nice. Oh, I met him at this meet and greet. Because he always did these meet and greets outside the shows where he'd like meet up with the fans or whatever. And I was like, yep, my Harold interaction was I almost threw a Coke bottle at him. That's my interaction with him. So
yeah, if only you would have gotten like banned for life from Osaka-jo Hall for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to stress because I've heard people tell the story as John hit Harold Meij with a Coke bottle. I did not hit him with the Coke bottle. It made it in the garbage can.
Then you yelled at him. It's like, yeah, I would have monkey flipped you too if you're super drunk.
It's like I had great aim. Okay, I was just very. I was in a big rush, and I was like, I guess, really, really aggressively whipped the thing in there, so he got very scared. But it was that's my run-in.
And now he's gone.
He's gone. There you go.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, all because of me. That's true. Obviously, this means the AEW New Japan relationship is going to happen tomorrow. So everybody get very excited for that. Some of these fucking tweets from people.
Finally,
it's like
Darby Allin in the Best of Super Juniors. The only good thing that could come of it.
Well, people okay. If you look at these tweets, I mean, they're so fucking ridiculous. Of like the scenarios. First of all, they're almost always people who like AEW more than New Japan. It goes without saying. Second of all, they're like the fucking scenarios they lay out are always stuff that like really doesn't benefit New Japan at all, and really is all about AEW and their storylines. Yeah. Like the one I saw that really was like, oh my god, was like some guy was like, we can finally get it, heel Golden Lovers versus Adam heel Golden Lovers versus Adam Page and Tanahashi on Dynamite. I'm like, wow. Why would New Japan? So take Kota and Tanahashi, a established tag team in New Japan Pro Wrestling, who are both babyfaces, and split them up for the basis of New Japan storylines, and quickly turn Kota Ibushi heel so he can have a reunion with Kenny Omega. And by the way, it's on Dynamite. I'm like, okay, sure.
That's the thing. I don't understand how people square away like New Japan's USA stuff, because I mean they're already running into issues with like Ring of Honor with this, so of course they would run into issues with like AEW, which has like bigger touring plans.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if it happened eventually on like like some kind of limited basis, but like the people who think they're going to be like best buddies forever now and immediately announce like they're merging into one company and all this shit, just like I think you're just it's like wish shit, like I could stand here and be like, it'd be like me coming on the air and being like, Tetsuya Naito will be double champion for the next 7 years. He'll be Bruno Sammartino style. Like it's just what I want to happen. It's not actually anything that's realistic. So I don't know. Like some of this fucking like the elite people are like AEW people have like the most like I don't know like wish casting as prediction / like I've ever seen. I don't know. And I shouldn't say all, because like there are plenty of AEW fans that don't give a shit. Like the people on Everything Elite and stuff, like they don't give a fuck if there's a New Japan relationship. But there's like a specific kind of AEW fan that's like very, gung-ho about it. And has basically been asking about it. Like, I know Rich Crates, when he ever does those Q&As, like he still gets these questions every week, like about, well, what would New Japan AEW be like? And it's like, I think he just skips them now because it's like such a boring fucking topic. So. Yeah,
I actually think AEW is probably better off, or like their style is now becoming more distinct as they've like gotten away from just being like, oh, we're just going to try to be like New Japan or try to be like ROH. Like I think them, hitching their wagons to someone like Eddie Kingston, like it makes them feel like a more unique promotion. So even if you are an AEW fan, like why do you want it to just be like another like just watch New Japan if you want that?
Right. It's like I don't watch AEW because I don't really like AEW. Like I don't really need AEW and New Japan to mix, or it doesn't really appeal to me at all. So, but I get it. Like if some AEW fans, want. I mean, some AEW fans really just want that fucking Golden Lovers reunion more than anything else on earth. And like I said, I think everybody knows. I don't really have to dance around the story anymore because I think it's kind of out there. Like Bix is tweeting about it and stuff. I mean. There's bigger roadblocks if stories are to be believed than just the fact that they're in separate companies, So,
yeah.
I mean, I know some people think that story's bullshit. I kind of think, that there's enough smoke to that fire at this point that I tend to think it's at least partially true. But talking about the merch money story from before they left for AEW. So I don't know. It is what it is. But I definitely obviously don't miss like. I mean, the only thing when I think about Kenny in New Japan, like the only thing I would really like to see is like another Omega Naito match or something. But I'll live.
Yeah, I mean, I think Omega will 100%, even probably with like AEW's blessing, at some point come back and do a New Japan stuff similar to what he did for DDT, and eventually it will be in New Japan's like. Best, to do like almost like a Jericho thing where he comes in for a few dates or something like that. I think that's probably the most likely way that you're going to see a relationship, not some sort of full-time talent exchange or anything like to that level.
Right. And like I think eventually like talking like 2022 or something, maybe something like that can happen. I mean, if people don't know, we're still in the middle of a fucking global pandemic too. So it's like even if the two sides wanted to work together tomorrow, it wouldn't really be that easy. But I don't know. I don't know why we're on this. I kind of think we can move off this stupid topic. So let's talk about the G1 Climax, which just had Night 8 from... Actually, not just had it. It was back on Thursday. But look, there were no shows between Thursday and Sunday, so I saved this one for the free recording here. But yeah, it was from Nagaoka, Thursday, October 1st. I would say this was one of the weaker shows that G1 so far. Not like a show I hated or anything. I mean, some people seem to really hate it. There were, still a few matches I liked, but like, as far as like a night that, like comparing it to some of the earlier ones, I think it was probably the weakest show. For sure, the weakest B block show. Probably the weakest show overall. Maybe I'd have to really think about it. I didn't like that A block show that much in Korakuen because I really didn't like that Shingo Ishii match at all. But
yeah, see, I would disagree with you being one of the weakest shows. I think that for me, I have only one match on this whole show below 3 stars. Spoiler warning, but I think that generally what I like about the B block shows in general is that I just feel like there's a lot of variety. Right. Even outside of like Yano, Zack Sabre Jr. has been like one of the highlights of the tournament because he just stands out a lot. And, Yoshihashi's run feels like totally different than anything else going on right now. And even like, Naito's matches have been like typical New Japan style, but they've just been like really, really good. So even though, I don't think this show has any blowaways. I think some of the A block shows, while they might have like one match that's really good, typically I feel like the average is just so much worse.
Yeah, I feel like this debate has gone on a lot, especially in like the Voice of Wrestling Slack and stuff. There's basically like 2 types of New Japan fan, right? There's the type that like is just blown away by the A block every night. They're getting like, exactly what they want from these A block matches, and that's all they really want out of the G1 is just like, all these A block matches, and they don't care about the B block at all because it doesn't have the quote unquote work rate. And I think you and I are probably the other type of fan that really likes the B block, just really likes the wrestlers in the B block, and like, even if it doesn't always have the highest end, quote unquote work rate, we really enjoy like the personalities and like, the differences between the wrestlers and stuff. Like I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers in B block that I just personally like, even if like, I'm always gonna kind of be a Hiroki Goto stan. Even when his shoulder is clearly falling off and he's having to do 3-minute matches because of that. I really like Kenta. I like SANADA, who I know you hate. I like...
I'll save it for the main event.
Okay. I like Evil. I don't know. Actually, don't know your feelings on Evil. But...
I like him a lot more now that he makes the worst people in the world extremely angry.
It's like, wow, you're like the Republican of New Japan.
And look, if Dick Togo is attached to you, Dick Togo could be seconding like, Pillar. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a bad wrestler, but I was like, no, it has to be stronger than that. If Dick Togo is like coming out with you, cutting some promos, looking mean, I'll probably root for you. So
yeah, I mean, I get it, but I like Evil. I really like Yoshihashi, especially in this tournament. Tanahashi's been good. Tanahashi picks his spots at this point, but it's understandable. I like, and obviously, I have a higher tolerance for the Toru Yano stuff than a lot of other people. The only guy in this in the B block that's really annoyed me so far is Juice, but like, I don't really blame him. It's just like it's really hard for him to do what he does, I guess, with the clap crowds. But yeah, I just feel like he's been kind of a drag on some of these shows.
Yeah, how do you feel about the clap crowds?
They don't really, they don't bother me that much. I mean, it depends on I feel like as long as they're still, like, doing the clapping enough to, like, it's not complete silence, it doesn't really bother me that much. I definitely think it bothers other people way more than it bothers me. But
yeah, I would count myself in that. I think it does take a lot away from certain types of matches. I think, like,
do you know why I really noticed it in Shingo Ishii? Because that went on forever, and like I knew that's why I'm so surprised like the A block people are so into this, because it's like those type of matches really need like more of a crowd reaction, I think.
Yeah, because the crowds love Ospreay and they love Shingo and they love like a lot of the guys in that block, and you'd think they'd be going insane for these matches.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but yeah, like it depends on the type of match, like you said, but but yeah, like you mentioned, Naito and Zack to me are like the 2 MVPs of the entire tournament so far. So like they're just having outstanding matches pretty much every time out. So, but yeah, so let's start here with the opener, which was a Young Lion match. Yota Tsuji and Gabriel Kidd going to a 15-minute time limit draw. This was the first of these Young Lion matches that went to a time limit draw. I know Joe Lanza was speculating that maybe it's because they had to go so short on Goto and Zack because of Goto maybe having a legitimate injury, which could be possible. It was a little... I mean, I guess having to go 15 minutes. It was a little more dull than your average Young Lion match during this tour for a while. But the crowd did get really into Gabriel Kidd having Tsuji in that Boston Crab towards the end of it. The countdown to the time limit obviously really increased the excitement level as well. But I don't know, I saw people saying this was a really good match, and to me, I wouldn't even put it as the top tier of the Young Lion matches on this tour. But just I went 3 stars on it. It was fine, but I definitely like some of the other ones better, even though the countdown is exciting and all that.
Yeah, I think I liked it a little bit more than you. I was probably more in the 3.25, 3.5 range. But I think the thing that I liked the most about it was that it felt, I don't know how much notice they got. Yeah, like you said, the Goto match, if that affected things, when they knew this was going to be a draw. But it actually builds off of the previous Young Lion matches pretty well. And the sort of how the matches have been ending and then blowing past those as false finishes. I actually think it sort of, almost tells a nice little story, which makes me interested what they're going to do for the rest of the tour, because it did, a lot of times I feel like a draw like this, sometimes when you've had clear winners for the past matches, it's just okay, well, where do you go after this? But I don't know, I do enjoy, I much prefer these over having to skip 4 tags or getting caught and be oh, maybe I'll watch a tag and that's always bad. A nice 6 to 7 minute Young Lion match where I can just get caught up in that story, I think is much preferable for me.
Yeah, I mean this is one of the things where I actually hope they keep it the same after COVID, because it is a lot. It just makes these shows a lot easier to have them. I mean, I usually just fast forward through all the tags anyway, but I don't have to do that anymore. So it's just easier every day.
Yeah.
Match number 2, Juice Robinson defeating Toru Yano in 6:42 with a roll up. This was pretty fun. I always feel like an idiot breaking down Yano matches. It's
let's go into the work.
That's not really what they're supposed to be done for. Did it amuse me? It amused me. There was some stuff early on where Yano was telling Juice to he gave him a T-shirt and asked him to wear it during the match, and then tried to roll him up when he turned his back to put it on. That was kind of funny. I sprayed water in his eyes from the spray bottle he has, and but Juice kicked out of that roll up as well. And then Juice got very angry and just stood up and started shouting "You're an asshole" at him, which I thought was funny. And ripped his T-shirt off and wiped his ass with it, and stepped on it in the ring. And Nicole entered the room the moment I said wiped his ass with it and was very confused. But there you go. It was a T-shirt. That's what he was doing. Wiping his ass for a T-shirt. He's still giving me a look.
I don't know if that makes it any clearer.
Yano looked a little hurt, actually, when he was doing that, which is kind of funny. But yeah, then the tape where Juice had hop up and down.
Yeah, Yano was selling the eyes after, or in the post match where he's I couldn't see anything. So,
but yeah, Juice yelled at him to eat shit and then gave him left hand to God. But yeah, there you go. The only thing I would say, I mean, I gave it 3 stars. The roll ups at the end were kind of stupid, they just look kind of slow motion or something. But I was enjoying it until the finish. So who cares about star ratings in a Yano match? I give them for completion's sake. But But yeah, I mean, the Yano matches, the funniest thing about them is how angry people get about them. It's they're 6.5 minutes long, guys. Who gives a fuck?
And it's I said earlier about B-block shows. It really does make this the block of variety. And for me, it's not like Yano is having it was his run 2 years ago where he had the Zack Sabre Jr. match, and he had some matches that were actually legitimately great.
Oh, when he was pretending he was going to do real wrestling.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah, so this match is definitely more average, but I do think that he's been good. I really like the SANADA match. I think that was a really fun one. So
yeah, and they always have weird chemistry. I've noticed those two. But the next match, Hiroki Goto losing to Zack Sabre Jr. in 3:59 with the European clutch. I forgot to mention the last match. That was Yano's first loss, which is kind of funny. But yeah, Yano's now 3-1, and Juice is also 3-1. This one, meanwhile, Zach got up to 2-2 and dropped Goto to 1-3. Did you see Zach's post-match promo, by the way?
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Goto mark, it really did hurt. Like, I appreciate the effort, but it like pierced me through my soul.
He's like, the G and I can't do a British accent. He's just like, the G and G1 stands for Goto, huh? And I just starts laughing and like walking away.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute, it's like a 20-second promo because he just walks in frame. That's all he says. And he just laughs.
I know. Speaking of Nicole, she thought that was really funny. But yeah, we start with some cool little chain wrestling. Zach, of course, like he tried to get an arm breaker on Goto right away, thanks to that big bandage like over his right arm and shoulder. And Zach like went really hard at Goto's injury after he made the ropes, which makes sense. He was like stomping away in the corner and like shoved the refs down. Goto came back with the Usigoroshi really quickly, which should have been the clue, I guess, that this was not going to go long at all. But he was still selling the bad arm really well. He went for the middle kick of death, that big charge up middle kick he does.
Yeah.
Does that have an actual name? I think it does, right? I can't remember what it is.
I don't know. It's some sort of Dragon Ball Z spoof.
But yeah, Zach rolls him up out of the GTR, and that's it. So, very quick match here. I enjoyed it a lot while it lasted. I went I guess I'll go 3 stars again. But I was looking forward to this one a lot, so I was pretty disappointed it was sub 5 minutes. I assume, like I said, there's like Goto's real injury was acting up here, and they decided... I mean, he's going to get a lot of days off after this, so hopefully he's ready to go by Tuesday. But, yeah, they clearly didn't want to have him doing a longer match here.
Yeah, well, considering I watched the entire G1 in like the span of like 3 days, I welcomed very much an extremely short match. But I really like this. Also, like I said, I think for, if you're doing a 4-minute match, this is about as good as you can do. So I gave it 3.5. I thought it was like, for the effort and the amount of planning that needs to get, this match from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And, get Goto offense too, despite his injury. I think it worked really well. And I think, the best thing I think about Zack Sabre Jr. is that his matches feel like they can end anytime.
Yeah.
Which does not really feel the case for like many wrestlers in New Japan at all. I think
that was one of the things that I thought really made Zack and Naito work, was like, even though that match ended up going like, 27 minutes, there were a lot of points where it felt like it could have ended much sooner, which is not normally the case for those like pushing 30-minute, New Japan main events.
Yeah, a lot of the longer New Japan matches, you can sort of tell it's like, well, it's not going to end because you're going to at least need to like I always think of like Evil Okada matches. Like they're going to have some Rainmaker and everything is equal. Like the counter just works too well, so they're going to do it a few times. And a few matches, Naito has like a few of those too, where the Destino is just too perfectly countered into a few different moves. They're like, well, we got to do the counter sequence. It's going to be great. Where, I think Sabre Jr., not only is it great in this tournament, but you could make a case that, over his career, he's been like one of the best wrestlers in the world. That he might be like a top 5-ish wrestler in New Japan right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really, really... I mean, he's one of those guys that, like, when he gets pushed to the background a little bit, because I think he's clearly been positioned as, like, the number 2 in his own tag team, that, like, you can kind of forget how good he is. And then once this tournament... I mean, I thought those Dangerous Tekkers Golden Lovers matches were all... Or Golden Aces matches were both awesome anyway. But, like, just seeing him in this tournament as a singles guy again, it's like, oh, yeah, this guy is, like, actually amazing. So, I know not everybody feels that way. Like, people find his matches boring or whatever. It's like, we watch wrestling for very different reasons, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. If you can't get into, like, Zack and Naito exchanging holds, then, like, I don't know what to tell you. That's what I'm here for. So
yeah, I could definitely see, I guess I would like to see him maybe move up and do some sort of, whether it's the U.S. title or the IC title or something, give him some sort of like upper card.
Well, he was supposed to challenge Moxley for the U.S. title before the COVID thing happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that kind of was probably part of the idea too. But I mean, he's been in a bunch of semi-main events with Taichi and stuff, but it's just not used to him being in a tag team, I guess.
Yeah.
Our next match was Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Yoshihashi in 1841 with the high fly flow. So Tana goes to 2-2 and Yoshi goes to 1-3. This fucking rocked. This was awesome. And
very good.
Yoshihashi, I mean, okay. I keep taking a victory lap on this one because I saw so many fucking people complain about him getting picked for this G1. And I just wanted to be like, Yoshihashi is, first of all, at worst, he's fine. You know, he's not like he's ever actively bad, really. The only times I can remember him being actively bad were like a few tag team matches where he wasn't that great. But like, for the most part, he's usually fine at worst. And if he gets going and is motivated, and I was like, why the fuck wouldn't he be motivated to be back in his G1 after he missed it last year? He can be great, and he's been great. This is the second 4-star match I have for him already out of 4 shows, and like, you know, this match and the Evil match were really, really good, and some of his other matches have been really good too. I mean, what was his other match? I don't remember now. The only one I didn't really like was the SANADA one, which wasn't that good. Oh, the Juice match, which I gave like 3.5 stars. Yeah, so like, he's having a great G1. I mean, you know, he's been one of these guys that like people complained about that they should not have complained about because he's really good. So, you know.
Yeah, I went 3.5 on this. I think it maybe went a tiny bit longer than I would want. Yeah, it went 19 minutes. But I actually think that this is probably going to be Yoshihashi's. I mean, it might be his like biggest moment in the company, depending on what happens in coming years, where he is, you know, he gets this sort of push. He gets to go toe to toe with like a lot of big stars, and I feel like if this is his ceiling, then he's like making the most of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, he's a perfect guy to be an underdog, and that's obviously what he's going to be in this G1. And just, you know, it's worked really well. I mean, people get like really wrapped up with these blocks, and it's like you don't want like 10 guys who are all like, you know,
superstars. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want like 10 guys who are all like fucking superstar main eventers, because then like you're telling the same story over and over again, which I think has kind of crept into the A block, except for like Yujiro. And Yujiro's matches have been good for the same reason, because he can go out there and play underdog against like Minoru Suzuki, and it just feels like so different from what else is going on in the A block. And here it's like, you know, Yoshihashi, you have a guy who can go in there and make a Tanahashi look dominant and really get behind this story where Yoshihashi is like trying to knock off this main event. It's just a very, like, you don't want 10 guys that are all the same. So I'm happy to have Yoshihashi here.
Yeah. Do you miss the guest appearances in the G1 at all?
A little, I guess. It depends on who we're talking. There have been some guests.
It depends on the guests.
There have been some guests who have been pretty bad over the years. So.
I was just thinking, because I'm watching like Marufuji versus Nakajima today, and just thinking like, thinking about that G1. But I actually think that sometimes that a lot of people clamor for that, but it sort of prevents you from telling stories like this. It prevents you from ever giving someone like Yoshihashi, or even to like Juice or someone on that level, or Yujiro. You don't give them anything to do during the year, so it's just like, well, what's the point of having them if this is the reason you keep them for tournaments like this?
Exactly. The like notable stuff that I thought happened in this match. First of all, Tanahashi, God bless him for selling that stupid butterfly lock like it was like literally killing him, because it's like he'll do that for anything, I guess, because that hold is so stupid. But Tanahashi almost made it look good. And there was like this great little spot too where Yoshi like went for the karma, but Tanahashi basically countered it out of it with like a modified twist and shout, just basically threw the dude down.
Oh,
yeah, that looked really cool. But yeah, I mean, there was I liked his face too when he went for the finish. Like, so they kept trading moves before that. Like Yoshihashi almost threw Tanahashi up when he tried the Texas Cloverleaf. That was an awesome near fall. And then he ducked the sling blade, hit a pretty great dragon suplex, and just dropped Tanahashi on his head with that, and got his double knees for a 2 count. Then that like fisherman's buster head drop thing that I think does have a name, but to give him his second shout out in this episode, I'm not Andrew Rich. I don't know all these move names, but yes, that got a 2 count. And then Tanahashi, he like fights out of the karma again. Yoshi's like coming back with this chop and like basically chopping him pretty hard. And then Tanahashi hits the sling blade for a 2 count. And then as he goes up to the top rope, he almost has this look on his face like, I've had enough of this shit. Yes. Like, I'm just trying to put this dork away, which looked great. Definitely Tanahashi comes out with some awesome and very appropriate facial expressions, and that one definitely was one of them. And then he hits the standing crossbody high fly flow, then the real one, and that gets the pin. But yeah, I went 4 stars flat on this. I really liked it. I'm very into the Yoshihashi storyline here. So, I almost wish he hadn't beaten SANADA. I wish he was still 0-4. But, I definitely am enjoying his run in this tournament.
Yeah. Do you know who he faces on the last night? I was wondering if he would be positioned as some sort of spoiler to someone.
I don't think he is. I think he's facing somebody who's definitely going to be out of it, but let me double check. I believe it is... no, I can't think of it, so let me just wait. He's facing Yano.
Well, yeah, he's going to prevent Yano from going to the finals.
maybe Yano can still be alive. Who knows?
Chalk another loss for the Yano stands.
The semi-main event, Evil defeating Kenta in 1540 with the Evil, gets him to 2-2, and Kenta's now at 2-2. This was a little disappointing to me. I was really expecting this to be good because I've enjoyed both of them in this G1 so far, but like it was pretty boring for a lot of the way. It was like just Evil tossing Kenta shoulder first in the post and stuff, and Kenta selling was actually pretty damn good, but he's one of these dudes whose character is like such a complete asshole that it's really difficult for me to watch the match and like sympathize with him and be like really feel bad for him for getting beat up. It's just like, well, maybe it's different for people who are not Naito stans, but it's hard for me to sympathize much with Kenta. But this was like a weird one where like the ref bumps at first were actually kind of like improved the match. I thought like it really picked up after the first ref bump where like Kenta grabbed his big red briefcase, just nailed Dick Togo with it when he asked him to hand it over, which just was kind of funny. And then hit Evil with it too, which I think was the first cheating he's done during this entire tournament so far, which I thought was interesting. And then got him the double foot stomp and the Bushaku knee kick, and Evil kicked out. And then Evil like almost came back into the role of like the valiant babyface trying to come back from Kenta's cheating at first because he had this Darkness Falls and the big lariat. Just a very different perspective on Evil than we've seen recently. And then Kenta like hit this really cool series of slaps right to the face just as we got the 15-minute mark. Went for the go to sleep. But here's where things got stupid. So Dick Togo got recovered and got on the apron. Kenta throws him in the ring for some reason. Dick Togo tries to low blow him right in front of the ref. And it's like, I don't know what, like Kenta, just let him do it. That'd be a DQ. Even in this company, it'd have to be a DQ. And 2 points. But Kenta blocks it instead. Tries to go to sleep on him. Togo grabs Red Shoes from up on Kenta's shoulders, and that lets Evil low blow Kenta from behind and give him the STO for the pin. It's one of these things that's so stupid it almost worked, but like the actual visual of Dick Togo grabbing Red Shoes just looked very dumb. Like from up on Kenta's shoulders. So I don't know. The guy was really getting into it finally down the stretch. Like I said, everything after Kenta grabbed the briefcase. But the ending was so fucking stupid, I took points off for it. So like I went 3 1/4.
Yeah, I liked it even more than you. I did. I would say that Kenta is someone that I have struggled connecting with, although I do think he's been good in this tournament. And I agree that he had some issues like trying to play the babyface during the match. But then like even as I thought maybe that they were going to play that in the post-match promo a little bit, but he actually, was just calling the camera guy fat and saying that's his reason for losing. So not the most babyface position to take, I think. But yeah, I think the finish just really let it down. And every time I see like Dick Togo like get involved a lot, it just makes me want him in the G1. It's like, why isn't this just Dick Togo versus Kenta? Like, why is Gato doing this to me? Where it's like these, we're so close to this. Yeah, we have all these other weird matches. Like, why can't we just get Dick Togo on some of these shows?
Yeah, I guess it's just not going to happen, but it is notable, I guess. The main event of the evening, where, I guess we'll hear it. You did tease this earlier. Tetsuya Naito loses to SANADA in 27:08 with a moonsault. So SANADA gets his first win. He is now 1-3, and Naito takes his first loss. He's 3-1. I really like this, except for the end, which had issues, which I couldn't really go 4 stars on as a result. But, I thought it was really fun a lot of the way. I went like 3 3/4. Had this been like an awesome match like Naito's had with a lot of other people in this tournament so far, I mean, this was my lowest rated Naito match of the tournament so far. It definitely would have been like a home run show, I guess, because the undercard was, mostly for the most part very enjoyable. But the fact that this was like a little disappointing is why, definitely took down the rest of the show to me.
Yeah, well, oftentimes I've definitely called SANADA maybe the worst major league wrestler, in the business. Definitely very boring. And I have to say, in the words of John Ensman, the New Japan fan rep guy, I was in paradise watching SANADA during this match. I think, I don't know if it, maybe his effort is the problem that I usually have with him, or maybe Naito just knows him super well from being in the same faction with him, and that's why this match clicked for me. But I thought, like you, I think basically until the finish, this match was awesome. Yeah, I think that he is not as awkward as you think. I think he can be like fired up. He can show fire. That he can have like these more heavy hitting matches. Like this match had a lot of back and forth. It wasn't just like tons of skull end or anything like that. And it just makes me wonder like why he isn't like this all the time.
I think he needs somebody else to lay out the match for him, probably, because Naito's famously like kind of a genius of like match layouts. That's why he got that the wrestling genius nickname originally. So I don't know. It's I'm sure he benefited from Naito, being able to lay this match out for him.
Yeah, I think the finish was just, there's so much like awkwardness in trying to, get quite to the finish. I guess it's sort of like the pre-finish, like in the last like 2 or 3 minutes. That's sort of where they had some issues, like getting on the same page.
By the way, I think I said wrestling genius. That's Keiji Muto. I should have, of course, said Stardust Genius, but there you go. Is it Keiji? Yeah. Keiji Muto was wrestling genius, right? Wasn't that his nickname?
I guess. I mean, what am I supposed to know?
I think
wrestling. See, I feel like you just made that up.
I think Keiji.
The wrestling genius is King James Chris Hero. That's the real wrestling genius. He has his whole subreddit that's called the Wrestling Genius.
That is true. I think that was Keiji Muto's nickname at one point, though. I think it was like, especially the like 99 through like or like 2000, 2001 like comeback period with like the shaved head. I think that was like Wrestling Genius. But anyway, doesn't matter.
I started watching wrestling in 2014, so I mean, I have gone back and watched a lot of 90s wrestling, but mainly just like rings. So it's just it's not the same. It's not my forte.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that despite the awkwardness, like most of the early parts of the match were super good, and I think even it got over SANADA having like maybe the worst finisher out any. I mean, I think the skull end. Honestly, I think changing that could make all of his matches better. I think it really could make like that level of difference. The amount that he leans on as like a transitional move or something to set up his finish, and the fact that it always looks terrible. I mean, even just a small change like that, I feel like could go a long way for him.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. There's one spot I wanted to call it in particular because it's one of these spots that maybe was even too brutal for the spot in the match. Like SANADA at one point, they're fighting the top rope, and SANADA drops down behind Naito and like drop kicks him right into the fucking post, shoulder first. It just looks so brutal, like one of those really insane Naito bumps. And then SANADA gives him like this. I was going to ask for your opinion on this move because I couldn't tell if this looked cool or not. But SANADA gave him like a neck breaker across his knee with both of them jumping off the ropes. Naito saw it like he was shot, so that helped a lot. Yeah. But I couldn't actually tell if the move looked cool or not. I think it's the first time SANADA's ever done it.
I haven't watched it back in like slow motion or anything, but I liked it live. I like any move that feels like it has like a big impact.
Yeah.
Even if it's based, half of the wrestling moves that even like huge wrestling moves are basically just like, it's the person who's selling it just throwing themselves on the ground. That's like what wrestling is. Yeah. So I feel like looking into the minute details of a move to be like, well, actually, he's DTDing himself when he does this. It's like, that's for nerds. Don't do that.
Yeah, because like a lot of moves, I mean, it's really noticeable, obviously, when there's a botch and like when the timing's off, because somebody might actually like just end up. Like, I can't remember what matches happened. I don't think it was this one. But, like, there was a spot with a DDT recently. It might have been Suzuki and Cobb or something, where, like, one of them went down way before the other. And you could just tell, like, it was a guy just flinging himself down to get DDT'd. But, yeah. Naito just started destroying SANADA with these back elbows. I love the back elbows that Naito does now. It's, like, the rawest addition to his arsenal because, like, he does that with that wrist clutch too, and like it just looks so brutal. And he gave the audience a nice little like evil smirk here in between, like, I'm killing your hometown boy. Who gives a shit? Yeah. Also, that Naito hasn't tried that Esperanza thing for a while. I think not since the evil match of Jingu when they botched it real bad. It looked awesome here. Like, I think if SANADA took that better than anybody else has taken that so far.
Yeah, I think Naito's offense is just like so smartly put together, and it's clearly just been refined like over the years. But I think, post his heel turn, this is like it's probably my favorite since like the initial run in terms of his moves are all so impactful now. He just like knows how to chain everything together. And this is like what I want out of like SANADA, to have like this type of, you never think of like SANADA's moveset as like high impact or anything. He needs to take some notes from Naito and just diversify a little bit.
And Naito did like this cool like running inverted DDT that was set up Destino style but was not a Destino. I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever seen him do that before. And then SANADA like countered the real Destino into a TKO in midair. That looked awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But yeah, so then we get the finish. Like I said, the problem here was was like the final fucking the big botch was around the 25-minute call. He goes for running Destino. SANADA kind of like freezes and just kind of fucks up. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, I mean, like Naito, at one point he goes for Valentia, and SANADA countered with like this knee to the head in midair. That looked pretty good. And then SANADA got a counter Destino on Naito when Naito went for Valentia again. So everything else after that, running Destino was good. But like, yeah, I mean, I decided to go 3 3/4 because like it was just a little too botched at the end for me to go 4 stars. But I did really enjoy it. So
yeah, one of the things you said that was interesting to me too was Naito. I mean, obviously playing more heelish in this match, but I don't know if he's his post-match promo. He was like going full babyface. It was maybe one in terms of his post-match promos, like one of his most flat out like white meat babyface promos I've seen, which I was pretty surprised by. Like after that match, but I think it's also just to give SANADA like the shine a little bit.
But and Naito's next match is Yoshihashi. I cannot wait for that. I'm kind of mad it's not the main event, but what are you gonna do? Semi-main. But all right, so let's update the B block standings here. We have a tie for first place with Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, Tetsuya Naito, all tied for first, 3-1, 6 points. Tanahashi, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, and Evil, all 2-2 for 4 points, and then tied for last, Goto, Yoshihashi, and SANADA, all 1-3 for 2 points. So we'll see who gets on a run now here as we're about halfway through, 4 out of the 9 matches. Do you have like a top 10 list for your favorite matches or anything, or no?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I would say that, for me, the only match of the G1 so far that I would consider a sort of like match of the year contender is probably a Bushi Ishii, which no surprise there. I really liked their match, their last G1 match. I just think that's worked really well. I would say
it's an 8th place for me, but
yeah. And I would say outside of that, the other match that I would say is also like either just a shade below match of the year, or like right on that would probably be the Naito Zack Sabre Jr. match.
That's my number 2 match. You didn't like Naito Tanahashi?
No, I liked it. I gave it 4 stars, but like okay. I'm a tough star rater, and but like I said, I would say that, and then probably I actually really liked one of the Suzuki matches. I think it was Suzuki Yujiro. I don't know why. I think it's Suzuki Taichi. That was awesome.
Oh, I gave that 4 stars. Yeah. So let me go through my top 10 real quick. So 10th place and 9th place, both 4 stars. Yoshihashi versus Evil from night 4 in 10th place, and then Taichi versus Suzuki from night 3 in 9th. Then 8th through 4th are all 4 1/4. So 8th place, Ibushi versus Ishii from night 5. 7, White versus Shingo from night 1. 6, Okada versus Taichi from night 7. The only Okada match I think I have higher than 3 1/4 so far. Taichi saved Okada's G1. Yes, that is true. The only Okada match I have higher than 3 1/4 so far. Kenta versus Zack in 5th place, night 6. Suzuki versus Ishii from night 1 in 4th. And then my top 3, Ibushi versus Jay White from night 3. I went 4.5. 2nd place, Naito versus Zack from night 4. I went 4.5. And 1st place, Naito and Tanahashi from night 2. I went 4 3/4. So Naito Tanahashi is definitely like 3rd place on my match of the year list. I think I put Naito and Zack on my match of the year list too. I think I put like 6th or 7th. So those are the 2 matches that are I guess match of the year level so far for me in the G1. So
yeah, more importantly for the standings for Voices of Wrestling G1 Pick'em, I'm tied for 34th, but basically tied for like third. I have 28 points and doing great. Sadly, if hopefully I'm not doing too well because I did pick Will Ospreay as my winner through some roundabout dumb logic. So if that happens and I win, I'll just probably be more upset at myself for what I wrought.
And I guess the other thing I can update really quick is the average star ratings for everybody, since we're about halfway through. So probably no surprise.
Are you logged on to the Grapple app, or is that where we're getting these?
I have a spreadsheet. Okay,
the cage match inmates.
A spreadsheet. So I have no surprise to most people probably. I have Naito in first place with a 4 1/4 average rating so far. So just killing it so far. Second place, a bit surprising. I have Jay White in second with a 4-star average rating. I've really enjoyed him so far in this G1, other than an Okada match. And then third place, I have a tie between Zach and Taichi, both at 3.88. So, and Tanahashi too, also at 3.88. So that's pretty much, let's say a fifth place person. Or no, I guess that would be like 3 through 5th. Okay, so that's enough. I don't have to go through everybody. But if you're wondering who my bottom guy is so far, I guess it's Yano at 2.75, but really who cares about Yano? So let's say Yujiro 2.94. And then Okada at 3.0.
I was really hoping Okada would be like...
No, Okada's like third to the bottom with 3.06. He probably was last before that Taichi match, but I really, really like that Taichi match, so it kind of saved him. Because I hate his first 3 matches. I mean, I get it. It's a storyline, blah, 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 but like they were just crappy matches. Just not at all enjoyable to watch,
So my issue with the whole thing where it's like, well, Okada is having bad matches because it's part of the story. It's like, well, isn't every match part of a story? Like, it doesn't mean you have to be bad. I mean, you can work more slow or more methodical, but it doesn't mean you have to work bad. Like, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, after that Taichi match especially, I almost want to give like as much blame to the opponent as Okada, because it's like Okada and Taichi made that style of match work for what they're trying to do, with Taichi beating the shit out of Okada's back and Okada selling throughout and not having to do a ton, and then finally coming back and figuring out a way to win with that what's it called, the money clip. But like I didn't feel like Ibushi or Jay White did a very good job of structuring a match around that and making it interesting and making it entertaining. Now maybe it also was the fact that this one was third from the top on a Korakuen and not like the main event like those Ibushi and White matches were. I'm pretty sure it was much shorter. I just want to double check that before I talk out of my ass, but I think it was like under 20 minutes, which I'm sure helped. Yes, it was 17:03, which to me was like, that's like the ideal amount of time to have this type of match where Okada's just going to like sell and sell and sell and sell and then come back and win. Whereas like, the Jay White match, well, it was only a little bit longer, 18:48, so I can't really blame the match length there. That match just was boring and kind of stupid. And the Ibushi match, I'm sure, was longer though.
Yeah, Okada and Jay White have such a weird like ups and downs, because I almost exclusively don't like any of their matches. But then like one of their G1 matches is super good, and their match at Wrestle Kingdom that's like only like 15 minutes long like owns. So it's just like I don't understand why their matchup can only be great or terrible.
Yeah, because the MSG match sucked too.
Yeah,
but yeah, like the Tokyo Dome one was awesome. And I did really like that G1 match too. I think the 2018 one. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I hope Okada picks up from here, but we'll see. I mean, he's in like lower profile spots for a little while, which might help him. Like up on the next card, which we'll talk about in a second, he's third from the top again. So I think he probably will. Just the style he's working right now probably benefits from being in a lower profile spot than instead of being in main events all the time. So
yeah.
So the next show, October 5th in Takamatsu, tomorrow as we're recording this. Again, that will be covered on the Omakase Patreon, patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. The opener is Yuya Uemura versus Gabriel Kidd. This is like the only pairing of the Young Lion matches that I feel like is kind of lacking in chemistry so far. Like Tsuji and Uemura obviously are like these big Young Lion rivals, and Tsuji and Kidd have this feud going on, and Uemura and Kidd kind of have nothing. So I've definitely noticed it compared to the other two pairings. So
yeah, that's why I was like wondering. It's like, how are they going to do the Young Lion matches going forward? Because when you build to like a climax, like a big draw, I feel like a lot of times for a Young Lion feud, that's like the end, or it's something that sets up like a future story. So it's just what's going to go on with the Young Lions from here on out? Maybe they'll just try to tell like a new story from scratch with different opponents. So.
Yeah, maybe. Match 2, Shingo Takagi versus Yujiro Takahashi. Shingo's got 2 points, and Yujiro's still looking for his first win. Now the only person still looking for his first win since SANADA won. Match 3, Jeff Cobb at 2 points versus Jay White at 6. That could be pretty good, actually. That could a match that could be sneaky good, even though Cobb has been very uneven so far in the G1.
I could see that working, especially, I don't know. I don't think they were never like in ROH or anything the first time. I don't know if they've ever wrestled before.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Match 4, Okada at 4 points against Minoru Suzuki at 6 points. I really liked their match at what's it called last year, the Royal Quest, the UK show. Thought that was pretty awesome. These two usually have really good matches together, with one giant exception, that fucking New Beginning title match.
Every single one match, I think it was from last year, that people didn't like as much, I really liked.
Yeah.
So I think I almost exclusively like this matchup, except for that super long, boring title match.
Yeah, where like Suzuki worked on his leg for 20 minutes, and Okada was like, "Time to do some giant leap and drop kicks." And it's like, okay, but yeah, that's their only bad match, pretty much. Like all their G1 matches are usually really good. Their other title matches and stuff, and their 2013 feud. So there you go. The semi-main event. Tomohiro Ishii at 2 points against Taichi with 6 points. This should own. They've had really good matches together, all last year. So very excited for this one.
I think the show in general, pretty much every match has potential. Even Shingo is someone that I've struggled to connect with a little bit this year, and getting him in like maybe a shorter match where he's just going to beat up someone instead of trying to do like a 20-minute like sprint around bomb fest. I think that could be good for him too. So yeah.
And then the main event, Kota Ibushi and Will Ospreay both at 6 points. The type of match I'm sure there's a certain type of fan that like is counting down the moments until that match starts.
Yes, there are people soy facing just reading this.
I don't know. I just rewatched their match again on the Patreon for the 5 matches G1 episode. I did with Chris Sampson their G1 match last year, and like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it was bad, but it was like way more underwhelming than I remembered. So, guess we'll see.
Yeah, well, I like they were at the Tokyo Dome, right? I'm not just imagining that. Yeah, I like that match. But I think Will Ospreay in general, he's like working differently in a bad way. I think since coming up as a heavyweight, he's almost doing he was doing like more of like trying to be the New Japan main event style, when that is like not what he's good at. He's good at just being like a dumb flippy guy. He should just be like the best possible version of like Facade. But he chooses to try to be like some sort of smart worker, and that's my problem with him. Yeah,
I don't know. And it's just like there is just like an exhaustion for me with him in general, with all the other stuff too. So it's like that definitely does affect my perception.
Along with Donald Trump, I think we can officially say we also do wish death upon Will Ospreay.
I am not gonna.
We're also officially endorsing that.
I'm not gonna co-sign that one. The Trump one is fine, but I'm not
put that on the Patreon episode, so then it's just you have a little more legal help there.
So yes, obviously, what was this? A parody.
Yeah, so, parody in Fortnite.
Yeah. There you go. So that's New Japan. We can move over to Noah now for the Noah N-1 victory. So yeah, this has been a really good tournament as well. I would say maybe it has not reached the absolute highs of the G1, but like a ton of stuff, that I had in the 4-star range. So, there were like 2 nights that were kind of crappy that you could easily skip. The 2 single cam ones, night 2 and whether you want to call it night 5 or night 6, depending on how you, because of that double header. But yeah, the 2 single cam shows really were not worth watching at all. Very easily skippable. But the rest of the shows were all really fun. So, if you haven't been catching up with it or keeping up with it, definitely a lot of fun stuff in the N1. And I'll go through my top 10 matches after we talk about this.
Well, thanks for telling me to prepare my top 10 matches before. It's not like you host a professional podcast or anything. It must be all the efforts going to the Patreon episodes now.
Yeah.
I think the tournament hasn't really produced any match of the year contenders or anything, but I think in general there's basically nothing bad. Everything pretty much bottoms out at like average, which helps a lot. And even though I think that the Noah heavyweights, like there could be a few shakeups, could be nice. I think having Mochizuki in and having Sakuraba in and having them both work like pretty distinct styles, I think that did help a lot with the variety.
Yeah. So the show we're talking about here is the final block show from Korakuen Hall, just last night on October 4th. It was actually, today, Sunday, October 4th in Japan, but it was 11:30 a.m. start time, so one of those awesome shows I can actually watch live at 10:30 Eastern. So definitely, if it was up to me, all Japanese wrestling shows have an 11:30 a.m. start time, so I greatly appreciate it. The opener was in the B block, Shuhei Taniguchi defeating Yoshiki Inamura in 4:36 with a face kick, and that moved him up to 2-3. And Inamura dropped or finished 0-5 winless, as I think a lot of people kind of thought he would. Mm-hmm. This was like, again, for a under 5-minute match, this was a lot of fun. I mean, they started out by just running right at each other. Madman Taniguchi just like clubbering Inamura as hard as he can with these double sledges and elbows, then dropping him right on his head with the German suplex. And then Inamura, he rolled out of the way of some punt kicks, only for Taniguchi to take his head off with a lariat. Be a very quick and brutal match. Ends with the running punch from Shuhei for the pin. 3.25 for me. I thought this was quite a bit of fun while it lasted. And one of these matches that makes you wonder, like, how these Noah guys wake up in the morning. Like, what they must feel like. Because they beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, I went 3 stars on it. I think this is definitely the type of match that I want to see more on. Not only Noah shows, but tournament shows in general in Japan. Just because I think having these super short, like, either whatever you call them, sprints, or even just like short matches or squashes, I think they really do they make the other matches stand out a lot. And I don't think that the main events and like the big matches on this show, I don't think they hit as hard if the top first 2 matches aren't like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, that's fair. Match 2, Manabu Soya in the A block defeating Kazushi Sakuraba in 5:57. So Sakuraba drops to 2-3 and Soya goes to 2-3. This was another short match, but like even more fun than the opener. With Sakuraba's grappling versus the big meat boy Soya. There was this spot that was like one of my favorite spots on either show, where like they go to do a test of strength, as we've seen in wrestling matches a million times over, but it's a fucking trap from Sakuraba to like take him down to a triangle. Yes. I thought it was so awesome. And Soya, his selling when Sakuraba got his key lock on before he was able to make the ropes to break. Awesome selling from Soya.
Yeah, I loved that.
Sakuraba tries to get it right back on, but Soya like reverses to a cover, and that's the pin. Sakuraba, as you've seen other times, just forgot there were pins, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like, super enjoyable while it lasted. I went 3.5, pretty much almost entirely for that test of strength trap spot, which is so awesome.
Yeah, I also went 3.5. I think that Sakuraba in general, like with what we've been talking about, with all of these matches, variety is just so important in these tournaments. And Sakuraba just having this feeling where he can just tap people out instantly, and he can go after your leg or your arm or anything and just instantly make it into like the nastiest looking hold in the world. Is just why he's in this tournament, even though he's like completely washed.
Yeah.
So, like, it still makes like most of his matches worth watching because he is doing something completely different. And Soya, I've like really enjoyed this tournament, coming in with the red hair, and so it's been
he looks so different from what he used to look like in
exactly.
Yeah,
Looks like
looks like a totally different wrestler.
So. Yeah, but I think that he's really stepped up in the tournament. I think most of his matches. I think the Nakajima match was on the last show. Yeah. Was on one of the single camp shows. I like that a lot.
The third match here, Masaki Mochizuki losing to Masa Kitamiya in 9:23 at the Saito suplex. An awesome finish, which we'll get to in a second. But that brings Kitamiya to 2-3. It dropped Mochizuki to 2-1 and eliminated him for the tournament because he would have had a scenario where if he had won, and then if Kaito had won the main event, which did happen, of course, they would have tied to went on top of the A block and would have had to do some kind of wacky playoff. But getting pinned here eliminated him and made the main event a straight up winner moves on, which I kind of figured would happen. But yeah, this match was basically like Mochizuki's kicks versus Kitamiya's suplexes. and it came to like a really abrupt end when Kitamiya like caught Mochizuki on the middle rope going for the Sankakugeri and just gives him the Saito suplex off of there for the pin. It looks so awesome. I thought there was another really fun, but on the short side, but a really fun match. I went like 3.5 on this.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot too. I think that Mochizuki, even though he wasn't like my MVP of the tournament, I think he was pretty good. And this is also the time of the night where I like started to notice merchandise because there's someone holding up a Dragon Gate scarf when he came out, which first of all is betraying Noah Wrestling by doing that. But then right next to them was someone wearing like a David Starr Independent shirt, which is just a bad move in October of 2020.
Well, they don't know. I don't know. Maybe they haven't heard. Maybe the news didn't travel. I mean, I've heard that like a ton of Japanese fans have no idea what the fuck people were talking about when it comes to Ospreay. I can only imagine how hard it must be to like parse this with like your, like maybe low level English / relying on an auto translator to figure out what the fuck people are talking about.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it makes me afraid. Like, what do I not know about Japanese wrestlers?
Exactly.
Is, like, Tadasuke texting minors or something. Like, if anything could happen.
The only what's it called? Jim Breakthrough. That guy from fucking Heat Up. That was like that was like doing shit with minors. So like, hopefully that would break through if something like that happened. But yeah, I don't know. I think we have enough like multilingual Japanese wrestling fans that maybe that kind of stuff does make it through to us, but I don't know. There probably is stuff that we're missing.
Yeah, imagine if you never heard and someone told you today about like the Dragon Gate monkey. Like you just find out like 5 years later.
Yeah, it must be so weird. The next match, another tournament match here in the B block. Takashi Sugera defeats Kano in 1604. The referee stop, front neck lock. So Sugera goes to 3-1-1 with 7 points. Kano goes 3-2 with 6 points and is eliminated. It left Sugera alive because if Marufuji could beat Nakajima in the last B block match, they would have tied and again had to go to a wacky playoff, but eliminated Kano since now Sugera had 1 more point than he did. But yeah, this match was again a lot of fun. I thought the highlight to me was that corner cam for Sugera's big superplex, which like that looked awesome. And at one point they also just traded like some really nasty looking German suplexes, and I'm a mark for a good German suplex. So I thought I'm probably sound like a broken record, but this is another 3.5 star match for me. Thought it was very good.
Yeah, the having the corner cam where it's just like here's just a nice shot of Segura's body for a few seconds while he does the stalling thing. It's like that really is the ideal use for it. But yeah, I think that I really enjoyed this. Segura is one of my favorite wrestlers ever, so I'm pretty much always gonna enjoy him. But I was thinking, one thing I was thinking today is like Kano could use a different look, the sort of bowl cut look. He looks like a fan of like Young Lean or like Blade, like that type of white rapper crowd. I think he just needs to change up. He's a little hype beast right now. The red leather pants. I
really like Kano's look because he looks like some kind of like weird edgelord or something, and I think it kind of works. It's like he's this incredibly serious man. It's like he is the exact opposite of, it doesn't have any humor at all to him, which I know some people don't like. But like, I don't know, I like having a guy like Kano around who's like, he's like, you will not disrespect me or Pro Wrestling Noah, and is very like, to me it matches his persona. So
yeah, he looks like the type of person who would go to McDonald's just to order the Travis Scott meal, like that type of person. So.
He looks like he's hanging out at a hardcore show or something. So I don't know, it works, I think. But
yeah, match was great.
The next match was the Junior Rumble. Now, I heard some complaints from people. People hated this match.
Wow.
I mentioned Manabu earlier. He really hated this match. There's some other people who really hated this match. Now, if you're just parachuting in to Noah, I could see why you might not like this because, it just seems like a bunch of guys doing a bunch of stuff, probably. If you're deep in the Noah lore and you're like, it's like, all the Rattels are starting out here. It's a Rattels reunion. And then Ogama just fucking walks out at one point because...
Yes, all of these things that undeniably own and are awesome. Like, these people, they might be controversial, but those people are wrong. These are all great.
He just walks out of the match because he doesn't give a shit. And the announcers are like, well, Ogama banned the match. Let's move on. It's like... He's just an old man who doesn't give a fuck about a battle royal, and he was the first elimination. He just left. Yeah. It was like, what? It was so good. O'Hara, the other thing I liked was how hard O'Hara went at Kotoge when he came in, and like them in the same unit for the 2 seconds they were both in full throttle was always weird as hell to me. Because they had the long fucking feud. Yeah,
exactly. They have like a blood feud, and then it's like, well, we need someone for this unit, so get in here.
Yeah, so like Kano and O'Hara obviously against Momono's Seishun tag, and like it was just so stupid they were in the same unit. So I'm glad that was rectified. It just didn't. It would have been like, did the Rock and Roll Express guys ever team up with the Midnight Express guys? It would have been like the Noah equivalent of that. So, But yeah, this match was pretty fun, I thought, most of the way. There was, like, one very sloppy exchange between Yohei and Daisuke Harada that stuck out in my mind before they both got eliminated by Kotoge. And by the way, what the fuck, Kotoge? Like, that
was really strange.
You just got back together with this man, you just eliminate him like nothing to get at Yohei? I don't understand. But yeah, Kotoge got the win. It was a fun match. I don't usually rate Battle Royals, but... it was a good time.
Yeah, I think it was a little odd that it's the longest match on the show.
Yeah.
I think maybe it could have been a little bit shorter.
That could be why people, like, it probably just felt very long to people who don't have any emotional impact with the Noah Junior division, and they just want to get back to the N-1 matches.
Yeah, but you get like the Rattel sequence, you get like the Congo sequence, like you get all these different units.
And the Congo thing was so fun with the three of them.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And Nosawa just getting like the shit beat up. It's hilarious.
Nosawa is like he never gives a shit. He's like, he's booking this allegedly, and he always makes himself look like the biggest moron. It is pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, I think the Noah Juniors, I said at the top of the episode, the Noah Juniors are like actually my favorite part of the promotion. And I think there's just, if you hate fun, I can see you not liking them. But it's just like they have such a weird collection of guys who emotionally
Takahashi is there now.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
What the fuck?
It's just like all these like cast-offs and like random guys and units that are just sometimes completely random and like people are turning on each other all the time.
They had that diagram at one point in the match. I'm like, well, that's going to be different probably by the time the match.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's turning on someone.
That sequence of the last Corkin, I know people got mad and hated it, but I was like, this fucking rocks. What is wrong with you? It's like, here comes full throttle. It's like, there were like 3 turns in that one. Like, first, I think Yohei turned on Harada, which I was like, good for you, Yohei. Why the fuck you guys still teaming up together if Rattel's is over anyway?
Exactly. Yeah,
and then, so that one made perfect sense. Then Kotoge comes out to help Harada, and it's like, okay, this one makes sense too. You guys, broke up originally because Kotoge was going heavyweight, so... I mean, he's been back in the junior division since last year. Might as well get back together. But then Full Throttle comes out. Yoshioka and O'Hara just like, you know what? Fuck you, Kotoge, for getting back together Harada. We don't want him in the group. So they turn on him, and they're like, you know what? This Yohei guy, he seems pretty cool. And that happens all in the one. That all happened in like 5 minutes. Everything I just described.
Yeah, it's so weird because if you think about it, it's like they don't talk over anything. Like, it's just the language is fists. It's just like there's no talking. It's just constant combat.
Yeah.
The setup for this must have been, what happened backstage to lead to this moment.
But yeah, like the only junior unit that ever stays stable, I feel like, is fucking the juniors and Sugira gun. Like, that's about it. Like, everybody else just like constantly jumping and going around and like, so I get it. I get that it can be hard to keep track of this shit, but it is a lot of fun. So there you go. But yeah, that's our Noah Junior talk, I guess. And there's some matches on the final show too, so that'll be a pair of title matches. Should be fun.
Yeah, I definitely think those are going to be a highlight.
The semi-main event in the N1, the opposite of a highlight. Katsuhiko Nakajima defeating Naomichi Marufuji in 16:25. Nakajima wins the B block with 4-1. Marufuji ends with 2-2-1. I don't know, man. I just can't deal with these Marufuji matches anymore. He's just...
Listen, you sound like me talking, throughout his entire career.
I used to like him, but like he just doesn't give a fuck anymore. I mean, like, you're in the semi-main event, a match to decide the B block in the tournament, and it's like
with the guy you've worked, guy you've worked before.
Yeah, and it's like let's do like 10 minutes of slow motion arm work. Why not? And then Nakajima like repeatedly doing his fucking corner choke thing. Sure didn't pick up the pace either. So he's not off the hook here either. But
yeah, I think that it's just not the right type of match, and I think when I like opened up a Beam player and saw that it was like on the shorter side, I was like, oh, that's probably 15-minute match. Like that sounds pretty like a great choice for this type of match. Like maybe they'll just do a sprint, maybe Nakajima will just kick him really hard and they'll be over, and then to work like this super methodical, like weirdly paced match where Marufuji does like nothing.
yeah.
It just didn't seem like a great choice. I will say the one thing that I liked is that Nakajima was working under a little bit, especially early on, which he's been working sort of like over a lot of people this tournament, just like kicking the shit out of people.
I mean, I didn't think the match was horrible. I mean, I get 2 3/4, but like, cause it was pretty much all for the sequence where Nakajima like ducked all of Marufuji's signature kicks and then like answered with this awesome spinning Uranage. That woke me up a little bit. And the end where he just finally kicked Marufuji's ass and finished him off clean was pretty damn good. But like that was it though. Like those are the highlights of a otherwise very boring match. So that kept it from being like, I don't know, like below 2.5 for me. But like that's about it. So
yeah, if this wasn't Nakajima, this would be like a 1-star match against like most opponents because Marufuji is just in total cruise control.
Yeah, he just doesn't give a shit. The main event, Kaito Kiyomiya defeating Go Shiozaki in 24:07. So Go finishes with 3-2 with 6 points, and Kaito wins the block at 3-1-1 for 7 points. He's the A block representative, as they say. This was really good, but like just not up to the level of that January 4th match. I kind of figured it wouldn't be, especially with Go doing that whole arm storyline and like definitely played into those matches you would expect. Although not quite as much as I expected to.
Yeah, I had that exact same note that I've expected the arm story to be like the focus of the match. And it's really only, there's a few points where he's grabbing at the arm, but towards the end of the match, he's like hitting lariats and like showing no effects. So it was a little strange.
Yeah. And there was like a weird sequence early on too where they struggled to get on the same page for a little bit, which you wouldn't really expect for these two. Especially, like I said, after their match earlier this year is my number 2 match of the year so far. So, this was not close to that level, but it was still pretty awesome. Especially down the stretch where like Go is like doing these awesome standing lariats. Like there was one where he like killed Kaito and Kaito kicked out like 2.999 and it was a great fucking kick out because he didn't do like a big dramatic kick out. He just like barely rolled his shoulder off the mat.
Yeah, his arm was like 1 inch off of the mat. That was awesome.
It was awesome. I mean, we don't get enough of those kind of kickouts anymore. He still looked dead. The crowd even gasped. They were like, ah! Even though they're not supposed to. So I thought that was great. But yeah, Kaito finished him with a Tiger Suplex hold. I went 4 stars on it. I thought it was really good. Great main event, but, not up to the level of their, match of the year level match. He's, like 4 3/4 star match from January 4th. So
yeah, I also went 4 stars. Sometimes I forget how much we agree on stuff because of our feuds over the minute details of certain wrestling promotions. But I think Kaito has just turned a corner. I think at this point you just have to talk about him like he's one of the best young guys in Japan because he's someone who frustrated.
Who the fuck is even close?
Exactly. He did frustrate me a lot early in his career where I would like certain matches and then it seemed like he could only work one type of match for a while where he could only get battered and then come up and for a last minute comeback. And now I think he's just a complete wrestler. He definitely works over Go for big portions of this match and it like totally works and it's totally believable, but he also like gets beat up super well too. And I think he's just fully come into his own. And I think you could even though you could say his like title run was like maybe too early or something, I think it told one story and now I think he's like ready for another story with the title again or some sort of title chase or you could do all sorts of things with him now and I think he's just totally set up for the future.
I agree. I mean, like I can't remember if I gave this speech on a free show or a Patreon show, so that would obviously greatly impact the number of people who heard it, but like Kaito to me is like easily most improved wrestler, like as far as the year goes. Like just not that I didn't like him before, I always liked him, but like you really just saw him like put it all together this year and like come together as like the complete package as an ace candidate. So just he always had like you said, always had the selling, but his offense is just way better now, so he can carry that portion of a match a lot better, and like his crowd connection and his charisma have just really developed really well this year, and like he's much more of like, now it just feels like before his last title reign, it's like, well, you see the potential and you get why they're doing this, but he's not quite there yet. This year, it's just like, okay, he's the guy. I mean, that's it. I mean, like, there is nothing missing in this package at this point. So, definitely. I mean, he's had a match of the year level match for me, at least. So I don't know what you gave that. Go, Kaito.
Yeah, I went 4.5 on that. I really liked it.
Yeah, so like just a top level match of the year level match for me. And I mean, not taking away from Go Shiozaki anyway. It's been good forever, but like, that was definitely like a coming out party for Kaito, and he's had plenty of other great matches this year. So, and this was another one. But yeah, there you go. The N-1 overall, I'd say this was like one of those shows it's hard to talk about as a podcaster because it's like a very good show that you could also maybe argue under-delivered a little bit. Like, I thought maybe I was expecting a little more out of, definitely out of Marufuji Nakajima, although expecting anything out of a Marufuji match at this point is a problem. But maybe, like, I'm a little disappointed that, like, one of the other undercard matches didn't quite get to, like, the 4-star level or whatever. A lot of them were really quick, so, it just didn't happen. And maybe you could say the main event was even a little... I mean, the main event was one of those weird 4-star matches that was a little disappointing, maybe.
Yeah, but the Junior Rumble, that met expectations, though. Yeah, I think that, I think it did its job, though, because it did make me really excited for the next show. Yeah. I mean, I think the post-match was really cool. Giving Kaido this...
Nakajima comes out,
making fun of Go, and then like I think when you're just into all these storylines, and Nakajima just like has all these interesting feuds, and Kaito has interesting places to go, and everything just feels to be building to the right place at the right time. I think that this type of show that necessarily doesn't really have a lot of match of the year contenders or anything, it's a lot more forgivable because it just sets up hopefully what will be a great show.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still one of these shows where at the end of the night I still really enjoy myself. So, even if it didn't have, like you said, like match of the year level stuff. So, the final standings, I already gave a lot of them throughout the show, but let's just go over them real quick. Kiyomiya wins the A block at 3-1-1, 7 points. Go Shiozaki finishes second at 3-2. Mochizuki finishes third at 2-2-1. And then you have a 3-way tie for last for Soya, Kitamiya, and Sakuraba, all at 2-3. The B block, Nakajima wins it at 4-1. Sugera finishes in second at 3-1-1. Then you have Kano in third at 3-2. Marufuji in fourth at 2-2-1. Taniguchi in fifth at 2-3. And poor Inamura 0-5 in last place. My top 10 matches of the N1, I'll just give them really quickly here. The first three, all 3 3/4. 10th place, Kaito versus Sakuraba from night 5. 9th place, Kano versus Taniguchi in the B block from night 3. I should mention, by the way, I called that doubleheader night 4 and night 5. I know some people called it night 4 afternoon, night 4 evening, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just in case anybody gets confused. 8th place, Marufuji versus Sugera, also from night 3 in the B block. Marufuji's one really good match in this tournament at like 3 3/4. Then the next 7 through 4, all 4 stars. 7th place, Kano versus Nakajima from night 1. 6th place, Go Shiozaki versus Kaito from the show we just talked about. 5th place, Nakajima versus Taniguchi from night 4. And 4th place, Kaito versus Masa, Kiyomiya versus Kitamiya from night 3. And then the top 3, all 4 1/4. 3rd place, Go Shiozaki versus Misaki Mochizuki from night 5. 2nd place, Go Shiozaki versus Kazushi Sakuraba from night 8. Night 3. Give that 4 1/4. And 1st place, Kaito versus Mochizuki from night 1, which the 30-minute draw, that's still my favorite match of the tournament. But, a lot of really good stuff here. All 10 of those matches, definitely worth checking out. Especially recommend the top 3. I mean, Go and Mochizuki, Go and Sakuraba, those are also very awesome matches. So, there you go.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything on my top list that you would have missed. So,
yeah.
Good stuff.
The average star ratings for the tournament, the overall winner easily was Kaito for me. Gave him an average of 3.9. 2nd place was Mochizuki at 3.75. 3rd place was Go Shiozaki at 3.6. Well, really, Go had an awesome tournament except for one match. I really hated that Go Shiozaki versus Masa Kitamiya match from, I think, the last single cam show. I gave it 2 stars. So like that dragged Go down a lot. Otherwise, he would have been like without that, he would be right there with Kaito. So that was pretty much what happened. And then fourth place, I basically had a three-way tie top B block, all 3.5. So Kano, Nakajima, and Sugera, all 3.5. So, those are my top finishers. Soya right there at 3.45. Sakuraba right there at a 3.35. And then Kitamiya with like a 2.95. Again, dragged down by that one match. Marufuji, no surprise, the absolute bottom here at a 2.85. Shuhei with a 3.3. And Inamura with a 3.15. I believe that's everybody. So, a lot of good matches here. A lot of people in the high threes, but, just a few people that I didn't really like their stuff. So, just basically Marufuji, really, is the one who's at the bottom. And even that, I mean, he was like plopped up by that 3 3/4 match with Sugera. You take that out, and he was doing really bad. So,
yeah. I mean, one thing you can say though is that it's better than Champions Carnival. So
it sure as fuck is. I mean, Jesus. Anyway, so the N-1 finals is on October 11th. So next Sunday, we're talking about it right here again on the free Omakase. So you get to hear that even if you're a freeloader, as the term goes, I believe. The opener here is a 6-man tag. Hajime Ohara, Seki Yoshioka, and Yohei of Full Throttle taking on Kinya Mokata, Seiya Morihashi, and Junta Miyawaki. The match 2, Akitashi Saito and Masao Inoue taking on Tadasuke and Neo. That should be something.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
I really want to see Tadasuke interact with those two guys. That should be a lot of fun. Match 3, Takashi Sugera, Kazushi Sakuraba, Kazuyuki Fujita, and Kendo Kashin. Hell yeah. Taking on Kano, Masakita Miya, Manabu Soya, and Yoshiki Inamura. Sugera-gun against Kongo. That should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I think this show just has so many weird, fun matchups.
Match 4 for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Yoshinori Ogawa and Hayata against Harada and Kotoge. Momono Seishun Tag trying to win back the belts they used to dominate. That should be really good. Match number 5, the GHC Junior Heavyweight title. Kotaro Suzuki against Tao. I really like Tao. I think he's been really good lately, so that should be a lot of fun. And then the semi-main event, an 8-man tag. Go Shiozaki, Shuhei Taniguchi, Mohamed Yone, and Daiki Inaba against Marufuji, Keiji Muto, Masakatsu Funaki, and Masaki Mochizuki.
How can you not love this promotion? This is the greatest promotion in the world. Like, this is just made for nerds, and that's why it's just the best.
Like, here's fucking Masakatsu Funaki here to take on. I want to see him grapple with Yone. Let's go. Should be great. And the main event, of course, the N-1 Victory Finals, Kaito Kiyomiya versus Katsuhiko Nakajima. Who do you think's winning that? I think Nakajima, probably.
I do, like I said, I do think that Kaito is totally ready for another title run, but I agree that it probably makes more sense for Nakajima to win here and go on and win the title, and then you can build to something down the line with them. And I personally, like, Nakajima is probably if I had to pick my single favorite wrestler in Noah. And I would love for him to get like another run and be able to really, have a nice run on top as with this heel persona.
Yeah. So there you go. This is at Osaka Edion Arena number 1. It looks like tickets are moving okay. The first 2 categories, of tickets say there's only a few available. The last 2 do say there's still much available. So who knows if they're going to sell out the half capacity Edion 1 or not, but I hope they do because I like Noah. At least they have stable ownership now, so you don't have to worry so much about the minutia of the what's it called, of the day-to-day attendance. So, but there you go. That's the N-1 victory. So coming up on the Patreon tomorrow, which again patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase if you'd like to sign up for all our coverage, is the Champion Carnival final. So that's from Korakuen Hall. The finals, of course, is Zeus versus Kento Miyahara. The far more interesting semi-main event is Yuma Aoyagi against Koji Doi, which may actually be more exciting than the entire Champion Carnival so far.
Well, I as much as I have no love right now for the current state of All Japan, I mean, Zeus and Kento do have a 5-star match to their name in my book, so I feel like I will always watch like that matchup at least.
Yeah, it feels so, I don't know, played out is the right word, but it just feels like one of the most boring finals they could have booked. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, we'll have a full review of that on the Patreon tomorrow with me and Paul, along with tomorrow's New Japan show on a Patreon exclusive full omakase. So on Monday, so definitely check that out. Patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Anything you want to plug before we sign off here, Skylar?
You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com with 2 W's, TWWITTERDOTCOM. Outside of that, I mean, I'm sure if you follow me, you'll just get mad at me. But yeah, I will probably be on Omakase again at some point. John did tell me behind the scenes, off mic, that he was like, you got to be on every Patreon episode now. He wants to bring me into the fold. I'm the unofficial co-host. So who knows? Maybe I'll be on again later. And also, I always try to plug something someone else is doing. So Bad Wrestling Podcasts, always love those guys. Listen to them. That's probably the second best wrestling podcast behind Wrestle Omakase.
There you go. Of course, they've both been on the show. I think I was going to say both many times, but I think it's actually only one time for Chris, but a bunch of times for God, why am I blank? Kevin. I'm suddenly blanking on his name. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Well, didn't you guys just do like an Attack on Titan episode, basically?
No, we didn't do that. We should have. We should do that on the Patreon, honestly. I should bring him on for Anime Omakase and just like discuss the Attack on Titan lore. Because we did that every single time he came on. We ended up doing like a half an hour on Attack on Titan. So we should probably just like get it out of the way.
Someone will want it. Someone out there wants that.
Have you ever watched or like read the manga or anything, or no?
No, I've heard it's really dumb, which makes me want to read it. But one day I will, and I'm sure I will have like freezing cold takes, and I'll freak out at I know the basement. I guess that's a thing that I should care about. I've avoided spoilers for all these years, so when I finally do get there, we'll talk about it.
And the only thing I'll say is the way the manga has gone lately. Somehow this guy somehow finds like new and surprising ways to be fucking crazy, which is really kind of an accomplishment at this point, because I don't know how he's still doing it, honestly, but I just don't know. And the new season's supposed to start soon. It's supposed to be the final season of the TV show, and the fucking manga still has not ended. So I'm just like, I don't know how the hell they're going to squeeze all this shit. It's going to be like, I mean, really, the anime's going to be crap. I mean, it's going to be like that last season of Tokyo Ghoul R8 that I gave up on halfway through, because it's like they decided, we're like, well, we only want to do one more season of like 12 episodes. So even though we have like, I don't know, like 100 chapters of the manga left, because they did the first season of Tokyo Ghoul R8 like a normal paced anime with a normal amount of manga chapters, but they just decided they wanted to wrap it up in one more season. So like the episodes are like, it's like Vince Russo booking an anime where it's like 500 things are happening every 2 minutes, and it's like, well, this is just not watchable, so I'm gonna stop watching now. But I don't know.
There's definitely some like manga I read that I'm just like, I just hope this never becomes an anime, because there's only pain if that happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that last season of Attack on Titan is gonna go. I guess we'll see. But I think it starts soon. I don't know. I don't remember, but I think it's either winter or spring coming up. It's definitely not airing now, I don't think. But let me just look it up because I'm curious now. Attack on Titan new season. Is it fall? What the fuck? Okay, this is great audio. Let me see.
Yeah. Wait, I'll fill dead space, because if you need a manga recommendation, Doro Hidoro, very good. It's about a guy with a lizard head and is really, muscular women opponents, and there's demons involved and magic and sci-fi stuff. And there's one season of an anime that's on Netflix that's some 3D animation stuff, but definitely highly recommend the manga. One of the best manga I've read of this century. And also, the the mangaka is a woman, which is also something that's not super easy to find, especially among like the mega hyped manga. So
I need to describe this. Okay, so I found the answer. It airs December 7th, so it's winter. Winter, whatever. It's probably going to be a split thing with 10 and 12. So where they say everything's like the last season, but they really mean, it's going to air in 2 seasons at this point. But what the fuck is this website where I found this? So it's like Attack on Titan season 4 air date, and I look over at the side, and like one of the stories on the side that wants me to click on is Claudia Conway reveals her mother has COVID. Like, what is it? What is the website that's serving people who want to know the Attack on Titan season 4 release date and Kellyanne Conway's COVID status? Like, where is the crossover there?
Yeah, this sounds like my Twitter timeline.
It's like, what the fuck? There you go. So if you want to learn, go to hitc.com if you want to learn all about anime release dates and the COVID positive status of various Trump officials. And it's like a picture of this teenage girl, like, I guess with the video where she revealed her mom is COVID.
Yeah, the TikTok.
It was a TikTok? That's
yes.
Awesome. She took to the Chinese Airways. The TikTok. Do you know his TikTok ban got turned down in court, right? That's what happened.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I think so.
Extremely funny saga of just something that like I truly don't care about, but whatever the result is, it will be funny. Yeah. So,
TikTok. TikTok.
Yeah, that's the type of wins that our society needs nowadays.
Yeah. All right, there you go, folks. And what a better way to end that. So,
and now we're both gonna. Yeah, John told me we're both gonna watch NXT Takeover, which apparently is on right now.
Is it?
Velveteen Dream and Kushida might be on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Velveteen Dream. There you go. Like when I saw this tweet from some guy who was like, "I refuse to watch New Japan because of Will Ospreay." Because he was getting because you're getting mad at somebody who was like, the G1's better than Raw or SmackDown. He's like, well, I'll stick with Raw or SmackDown because they don't have Will Ospreay. And it's like, okay, you do that, buddy. WWE.
Yeah. Also, I mean, Velveteen Dream putting up against someone who's like 5'6" is already a little suspect. Yeah, he's shown predilection for short people in the past. So.
There you go. That's the way to end for the pedophilia joke.
On a Velveteen Dream joke. Yeah.
Anyway, folks, thank you.
Yeah. We also endorse the death of the Velveteen Dream. Yeah. We'll sneak this into the end here.
There you go. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I want to, again, the patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase for upcoming Champion Carnival and G1 coverage this week, Monday through Thursday. Lots of stuff coming up. You can, of course, also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Omakase, Wrestling Wouldn't Fit. Thank you as always for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.